Hey, muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and as always enjoying family. Y como siempre, Tony, muchas gracias for allowing me to get on the platform, Stories Run by a Current Prisoner, to share my stories. And again, I can't touch on it enough. Muchísimas gracias to everyone for your guys' prayers. Now for the story, I'm gonna touch on a good camarada that I had the pleasure of meeting. They used to call him Conejo from Whittier Barrio Loco. He's he was Argentino, but he was real cool gente. He was one of those homies that was about his business, but at all times he was always considerate when it came down to other camaradas or the well-being of camaradas. But at all times he was there to please. He was working for Silent George, so he was always about his business when it came down to taking care of it for him. But he would never disguide you or be dishonest. He used to always like do things up front and not do no shady stuff. Like I can sincerely say, he never used or nothing like that. He was just always figured that a clear mind, was a sharp mind, which is true. It's one of the main reasons why throughout the whole time I was busted in the system, besides weed, I never consumed anything, because I seen how everyone what it did to everyone in there. But anyways, the first time I met the camarada was in Tracy. I was already in the hole and he had came down for a layover, but they actually left him there for a couple weeks. I remember he went out there to the group here in the hole with us, and like I stated, he was real feed man. He was telling me how he had came down with orders and that he was going to hit Ironwood. So eventually he took off to Ironwood, and as I have told on my previous stories, from there I went to Solano, then Vacaville, then I hit Ironwood. So I was there with him on the yard for not very long, maybe 4 or 5 days. But in those days, is when I happened to realize or notice or analyze that he was really truthful about what he told me back in Tracy, that he was about, you know, taking care of what he needs to take care of, and at all times keeping the camaradas in heart, not hurting them. Because a big issue uprise there with a vato from Isa San Diego. I guess, old man silent saying word to him that he needed to go ahead and handle that. So, at this time, there was other camaradas that were there that could have actually, seen the Amapil and went and handled that. But being that Conejo was a lifer and the other camaradas that were on their old man's wing weren't, Conejo decided to go ahead and buck up and go do it himself. So he came by and told me, if more than likely I'm gone because I got to go ahead and handle this for the old man. So I told him, where do you need me to support you in the sense of, I don't want to get involved because it ain't my issue, but I'll support you in the sense to help you get away. And he told me, nah, don't get involved because you know how that works. If you get caught up with me, and it's gonna look like, you know, Silent was stepping on Terco's toes, and we don't want to start that. So, anyways, it played out. He went over there and he hit the vato, and they got caught. He went to the hole, and I didn't happen to see him in the hole or anything after I hit. Where I ran across him again was in Tehachapi. We were there. He was there completing his shoot term, and I got there. and we were on the same group yard in the concrete yard together. But he was on A section, I was in B section, but we happened to be out there for a couple months together. And I got to meet this individual, and you know, he was really down to earth. But one thing that he had really set on his head was, he got in and he's going to go in it to the full. He was going to do what Silent told him to do, no matter what. You know. Now, at this time, Silent had another two workers there in Tehachapi. These two other workers were heading up there to Pelican Bay. They were just there pending getting transferred. And the other one, it was Gumpy from Eastside San Diego too, and then another homie. I can't really recall his name, but he was from Altai, and they were real close. You would never think anything of it, but it was just common sense though, And I told Conejo this when we were there, like, hey, what's up with Gumpy? How does he feel towards why you're here? And he goes, oh, he don't say nothing. He shouldn't say nothing. It came from the old man, and so which was cool, you know. Then, as you guys know my story, I wasn't there too long. I ended up getting when I went out to the 180, and I ended up coming back, and then I hit Corcoran, you know, and I didn't hear nothing of it. I heard about Conejo and Guppy being across the street in Saturday in the 180, and I heard them catching a couple shoe terms, and they were there in Corcoran on the east side, but they had gotten re-kicked back out to Saturday. So by this time, things happened there on Corcoran, or they unfolded the way I have expressed myself to you guys, and I ended up in Pelican Bay. Now, when I was in Pelican Bay, you know, the word that came down was that, you know, Homeboy Conejo sailed up with Grumpy, and basically Grumpy was politicking against him, behind Conejo's back. And here's the thing that broke the camel's back per se, and is that there was a camarada that he had actually hit a couple times for the mesa or for them, and he got caught. Now he got caught, and Gumpy Gumby, excuse me, was pressuring Conejo. Even though he's back there, let's get at him foul. Let's have his family send him money, or else we're gonna put him on the hat. Now Conejo went against that. He felt it just wasn't right. What business do his family have for them to pay something that is not concerned towards them? They have nothing to do with it. So he opposed against it, to the point that he literally spoke up for him, to the sense that he let him see. What happened was Conejo told him, nah, let's just get him and let's give him a few months for him to get the feria down. Let's just shoot an address and have whoever send that feria out that way. But we're not going to get at the camarada foul like that, and tell him, to get at your family. And we're not going to address him like that. It's just not right. It wasn't his fault. And anyways, this happened, and the vato that had gotten caught with the dope ended up locking it up, when they reached out to him like that. Which, in reality, it wasn't nothing bad that when he locked it up, he told IGI. Besides, he got caught with with dope that belonged to the higher ups. And but if they would have gotten on them like get out your family and threatening them, it would have been a bigger issue. So that's the way I look at it. I was already in Pelican Bay when the word came down that Gumpy had or Gummy had had moved on Conejo, and he ended up killing him right there on Saturday. I guess I don't know, I guess he knocked him out and then he choked him out, or something to that extent. And when I was up there, it was like there was a couple camaradas that had gotten there from Sadif, and that were basically saying what had happened was that Gampi had a politic against Conejo, and at the end of the day, he made it look like that. Basically, he made it out to look like the one that had taken that loss was Conejo. He had lost that feria, and at the end, he was protecting them to the point where he shielded them till the Vato locked it up. Or in that sense, you know how politics works. It just basically you become this big old snake and you finesse things in order to put them to where you're gonna come out to get your point across, to get what you want. In this sense, it was, the Vato politic against Conejo. What he wanted was exactly that, to be only Silent George's worker and Silent George, not being, a tecato or that Vato that favorites over somebody that's been around and has been doing things correctly for him yard after yard, and at all times always spoke highly of him and took care of business, most importantly, not even giving Conejo the benefit of the doubt to actually address him directly, but instead of that addresses this Vato to go ahead and handle that, you know and green lights, you know Gum, Gumby moving on Conejo, and there went the camarada, there went the vato that was so dumb to waste his life, or at least, because, the one thing I want to put on this story is is the one thing that catches on to me the most is how we're thrown away like we ain't worth anything to them, and at all times they don't seem to get, or what we don't seem to realize, because I include myself in this, is that we're getting used, we're getting used for their needs. And, at the end of the day, if you put three factors up there, which is camaradas, no matter how much you've done for the faction, you put money and you put dope for their use of, there's only two that are going to come out on top. And the one that's going to come out, not fitting in that square no more is the camaradas. And it just amazes me how, I want to speak about me, how I was so stupid, even though I seen it time and time again, to never grab onto it, never quite seen it, or if I seen it, how I was so stupid to fool myself towards this, because this is a perfect example on how, even up to this point, I never consider, Silent George to be a scandalous senor, or one of them senors that had any type of negative smell towards them. But I happen to know this firsthand because, like I tell you, I happen to have good crossings with Conejo, and at one point with Gumpy too. And It's just how funny how politics works. And you know what's the funniest thing is that camaradas are aware of this. It's in the sense that, I mean, look at this. This vato from East San Diego knew exactly what cards to play to smoke him up. I mean, they were together since they had to be years back. So imagine how long he was sitting or working on how to wash him up. And he touched the silence nerve, which was he lost your dope, he lost your feria. We'll go ahead and do that. And within time, a couple a couple Billy like Blanco from San Diego, they actually were trying to figure out what was going on. But you know, that's what the senores are good for. Even though they wash up a good camarada, and when other Billy start wanting to investigate it, their reply is like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." They wash their hands and, "Oh, it was this cat." Because let me tell you, like about a year and a half after this, the vato from East San Diego got whacked too behind this. And when it ricocheted back towards Silent, I don't know what he's talking about. Tell him to show you the kite when he knows there's no kite there. It's just like try to put out in every video. It's just one of those how camaradas are used and abused, and at the end of the day, when something ricochets towards them, is I don't know what you're talking about, and that's it. And who's gonna push a carnal beyond that, right? The easiest thing is go ahead and remove that vato. You know, but it's just I guess a lot of people are gonna look at this video and be like, well, Gumpy, he had what he had coming. Yeah, you could say that, but what about the camarada that he was a lifer? I understand that, right? But he had the option to go ahead and kick back, be in the system, do his time, and do whatever he needed to take care of. But he decided to support the clique or the organization, and the only thing he got out of it was for him to get choked out. It is why I don't touch on it enough for those that are out there. You know, don't look at prison like an avenue to earn your stripes, to grow as a gangster, because there ain't nothing gangster about prison. There's a lot of people that come on here and tell you, you come in and you get told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how much to do it. And there's nothing gangster about another grown man telling you what to do, and I could tell you, I'm one of them. I'm a pendejo that I thought I was a gangster, there ain't nothing gangster about me, I was inside, for so many years, I went in 1997, man, thinking I was a gangster. I was about it, when in reality, I wasn't worth anything, The only carnal that never tried to push that line on me, that like to tell me what to do, was Raul from Riverside. Besides that, man, it was like I had to follow suit and regulations, down to the dot, or that was my butt too. It didn't matter what I did. So, when you're out there, think about what's out there, what actually you're going to be able to put some sweat and blood into, and it's going to bring back fruits towards you. Don't think as prison as something that's a must for us, because it ain't. We need to take that narrative out of our heads when we're young, that prison is a must. It's a way of passage for us Sureños. I'm gonna speak about Sureños because you know it ain't a way of passage. It's a way we choose, or you could say, in my days there was no other way. There was no outlets. There was nobody there speaking about it. But if you're outside, you're able to hear all these messages or all these stories, and there's outlets. There's an in look of what's going on. So by you ignoring it, then it's just ignorant. I know those people that consider themselves solid, and they're out there gonna look at me and be like, "Man, you did all you did, but you went out backwards." Well, I understand your outlook towards me. I was there, but when I get further into my story, you will understand why. And there could be a lot of you solid battles per se that come on here and say, like, oh, this and that you this and that. I give you my palabra, ain't none of you fools put in as much blood and sweat as I have. Because you will later on hear how much I put in for the sureño causa, for the causa, sureña. What you guys are hearing, man, it ain't nothing. Believe me, nothing. For example, me going through the shoe cancer and having to do it was nothing. I didn't suffer anything compared to what I later did. So you could sit here and criticize me, which is cool. Like I stated, I was there, so I know how it works. But that's called brainwashing yourself. It's how you pump yourself up to keep pushing on something that you know it ain't there. But again, this ain't a dress for you. If you're in it, handle it. Tie your shoes on right and boogie. This is a dress for those that haven't started going through this. I always stated, I'm not here to spread poison. If you're in your neighborhood, respect your neighborhood. Love your homies. But, you know, put priorities first. That priority should always be yourself and your family. And a future for yourself, man. Ain't nobody want to be alone. There's people out there that could be pumping you up, do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. But at the end of the day, are they gonna sit with you inside a cell for the rest of your life, having to follow another man's orders? Are they gonna be sending money to you when you need for canteen or a package or even a letter? Come on, you know, just do see what's out there. And my stories are gonna start getting more in depth, as I get deeper into my story, because I could sit here and tell every one of you that throughout my CDC time, I was a stupid pendejo. You guys don't know how much of a pendejo I was, but I will touch on that soon. So this was going to be a short one on a quick one I had about Silent George, and like I said, there weren't too many. Too many I heard about him. I don't know if he kept them on the wraps real good or what. I was aware of this one because I personally knew the vatos that were involved in it, and later on some vatos that were actually there on the yard hit Pelican Bay, so I was able to get a little bit more footnote towards it. And it just, again, for those that haven't started this, just open your eyes and listen to what people are putting out. I'm not going to tell you necessarily listen to me, nah. But if you're able to hear my story and you're able to hear the next man's story and about 10 different other men with the same story, then you got to pay attention to it. That's just called being smart. But again, everybody, I want to say thank you again to everyone for everything. Tony shot me everyone's emails that you guys been sending, and I want to look into that. I want to look into those drinks and those stem cells, and I want to try to do everything in my power. It's hard due to the situation I am right now or where I'm at. And how I'm trying to stay in the clean of everything. So it's a little bit difficult, but I gotta try. You know, for a long time I pushed and pushed and kept pressing towards something that just wasn't there. I have to push because it's my life. And or at least what little I have left. I gotta try to. I can't cower it out. I can't just be like, oh, ya me chingó, ya me cayó, balled up and just let it happen. That's just never been me. So I appreciate you guys' advice. And with this said, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys rest for tonight. I hope everybody's doing well and is blessed always. And always stay true to yourself. Stay loyal to your family. Most importantly, man, you know, value value what's out there. Don't don't take your eye off of what really is worth something. Pay attention. Muy buenas noches, mi gente. Que descansen. Gracias.